So, if you guys are looking to make some vibey guitar beats, this video is going to be the perfect one for you. Because today I'm going to show you guys how you can make those vibey and trappy guitar beats all from scratch in FL Studio. I'm going to show you guys everything from the melody to the drums in a step-by-step process. It's going to be a similar sound to somebody like Roddy Ricch or Gunna. So let's not waste any more time, let's just jump right in. Alright, so we're now here in FL Studio 21 as you guys can see, and I know that you guys can actually see the whole beat that I just made, and I just have to tell you guys that I did actually record this whole video and made a beat from scratch with you guys, but I actually forgot to hit the record button on OBS, so I won't be remaking this whole beat from scratch like I usually do with you guys. I'll make sure to do that on the next video, but this time I'm just gonna break down the whole beat that I just made. As I said, I did make the whole beat from scratch with you guys, but I forgot to record it, so I'll just do my best and break down everything in a step-by-step process. So I'll play you guys the melody first so you can take a listen to that. So let's just highlight these ones right here, which is the melody, and take a listen. So this is the vibey guitar pattern right here. And then we also have a part 2 with a different counter melody. So here we have the flute. You guys get the idea. Alright, so you guys heard the melody. Like I said, let's not waste any time. Let me just jump right into the first pattern and show you guys how I made this. So first things first, we have this Omnisphere preset right here. It's the Nylon Sky guitar. You guys know this is my favorite guitar VST, so I highly recommend using this one. And I'm just using the clean preset right there, but make sure you watch the video because I will show you guys some cool tricks where you can actually use some of the different presets as well later on. So the BPM is 130 and the key is D minor. So this right here is the first guitar pattern. Now this is actually some very simple stuff to recreate, so don't worry, I'll kind of explain this as I go along. So as you guys can see, this is just a normal D minor chord. So if you just put this back normally like it usually is, as you guys can see, it's just a normal D minor chord. You can make this by skipping the first highlighted note, putting a note on the F note right there, skipping the next highlighted note, and putting one on the A right there. Now from here I'm just gonna delete this so you guys kind of get the point. What I did from here was that I just actually inverted this middle note right there. So what you want to do is just highlight that middle note and pitch it up by 1 octave, and then just to make stuff realistic, just move it slightly to the side. It's not really anything complicated. And then to make it realistic, all you want to do is just move it slightly to the side, so it's not really overcomplicating anything. All I did from here was I copied it over and I pitched it down by 5 semitones. So it goes from the D to the A, and that's literally it for the pattern. I just copied that over for the whole 4 bars right there. But to make this a little bit more complicated or a little bit more advanced, I added one more filler note right here just to kind of emphasize a little bit of the transition from this section to this section. This I only did on the second part because I want to keep a little bit of a difference from the first part to the second part as well. Now, with this specific VST, it is very important to make sure to adjust the velocity down here. As you guys can see, I have the first note hitting in the middle, then the second note hits a little bit later, and then the third note hits way up here. So the reason why I'm doing this is because the specific VST sound actually gives a different and a unique sound from whatever your velocity is on. So just to give you guys an example, you can kind of hear this. These higher velocity notes actually have a different sound to the lower velocity notes. Now, one more trick you guys can do is actually shorten some of the notes. As you guys can see, instead of having this played all the way extended out like the rest of the notes, I actually shortened some of them because this again is specific to this VST, but it gives a way different sound, and it also adds more of a realistic sound to it because it gives you that pull-off type of effect. So what I mean by this is that if you play a real guitar, when you pull your fingers off the strings, it gives you this pull-off type of sound. And when you shorten these notes, you can, if you take a really good listen, you can kind of hear that plucky type of noise also coming from the VST. So if I shorten this, you can hear that pull-off noise, which really adds a whole realistic vibe to this. So that's very simply the first guitar pattern. With this, I also have a effects chain This is pretty much just my normal guitar VST effects chain. It's a preset that I have loaded up. It's simply just a NS1, which just is a noise reduction with a little bit of EQ just to clean up the sound as well as some delay. But the real sauce is really the RC20 right here using the 103 preset. And then I also have a little bit of roam to just add some more character to the whole sound. Lastly, I have a different EQ just to cut out that low end since we don't really want all that muddy noise from down there. So the effects chain is really there just to clean up the whole guitar so it sounds super smooth and nice. And then you just have those two effects to really add some character and atmosphere to the whole sound. Now the next thing I did was I opened up another instance of the same nylon sky guitar, but this time we were actually using the Legato Blues preset, and I also had the realism all the way turned up just so we can really get a realistic sound, and it also changes a little bit of the sound when you are putting it in on the piano roll. So let's open up the MIDI from the counter melody to the guitar right here. So you guys can hear how this really complements the main guitar perfectly. And the way I like going about this is actually also very simple. What I like doing is that I'm just starting off somewhere where we kind of have a note playing already. So if you go back to the first guitar, you can see we have a note playing on the F5, meaning I like starting on the F5 as well, and this is also perfect because we have a half step right here, so we can really build off of these two notes and create a little bit of tension to that counter guitar. So what I'm going to do is that I'm just placing a note that kind of covers these two boxes. I'm just going to copy that over like 1, 2, 3, maybe like 3 or 4 times, so we kind of have them playing repeated over and over again. I'm just kind of looking and visualizing me playing a real guitar where you kind of would pluck the string several times pretty consecutively. Now from here, again, very important, make sure to mess a little bit around with the velocity. You can really experiment with this, but turning up the velocity a lot again gives you a different sound. So as you guys can hear, this is a little bit harsher and a little bit higher pitched, just because we're turning up the velocity. So that adds a huge difference to the whole sound when you kind of finish off your pattern. And then one more thing, from here you can kind of just build off of this a little bit and move them down to the next semitone, extend it out a little bit so you kind of add some more breathing room. But the main trick throughout this whole thing is also make sure to go in and actually overlap some of the notes right there. Again, with this specific VST, it gives you a completely different sound, and it just really adds to that whole realistic, vibey and trappy sound to the whole thing. So you can really hear how that character is right there, and when all of this comes together, it really emphasizes the whole sound you're looking for. So I highly recommend implementing these tricks here and there. And from there, you kind of just want to build off something similar. As you guys can see, we're just kind of doing the same thing over here, going down to the D, and then towards the end of the bar, I'm kind of just using a little bit of a transition type of note right there. So with those two together, the guitar sounds like this. So you can really hear how they complement each other super well. That counter guitar is also routed to the same exact effects chain, so don't worry about adding different effects and stuff. You can just keep the effects pretty much super similar or exactly the same. Next, I opened up Analog Lab 5 because I wanted a little bit of some more ambience to this. So I just found this autumn pad right here. I believe this is just a stock preset, and very simply what I did was I just put it on the root notes, but I did pitch it up a little bit in the higher frequencies, so you can kind of just have a little bit of a atmospheric type of sound in the background. It's not really too present. So just a lot of reverb and a little bit of EQ cutting out the higher frequencies on this one. Not really anything too complicated. Like I said, it's just to add a little bit more atmosphere. Next, I also went into my Motion Bundle kit and I just added this one-shot sub bass right here. Pretty much the same exact thing, just putting this on the root note. Don't overcomplicate it. With these vibey type of beats, you really want to make sure to have a lot of room, because that counter guitar and that main guitar is really what's gonna fill out the whole thing. So from here, this is really what we had, but I still felt like it could have a little bit more atmosphere to it. So to do that, I actually found this vocal right here from Splice. It's this exact vocal right here.
I can't wait to kick it with you. I just wanna spend the whole night.
Now you can kind of hear how that's not really anything with a lot of backing or any atmospheric type of sound at all, but I really like the rhythm of that vocal. I felt like it would fit perfectly with our guitar rhythm as well, so I kind of just had to add that atmosphere of myself. So the way I did that was by first of all opening up a sound shifter and pitching it up by 12 semitones. This is basically just pitching the whole vocal up by 1 octave so you have it super high pitched. What this is going to do is kind of give us a little bit more of a lighter voice and tone to the vocal. So to add that atmosphere and complement that, I actually added a roam at about 41%. This is really what just adds that atmosphere, but the super secret sauce is really opening up RC20 and using the magnitude transition 1 preset. So I'll give you guys an example of how it sounds without the magnitude transition 1 preset. So you can hear it's kind of atmospheric, but it doesn't really have that blended in type of sound. So once I add that RC20, the sound just blends in perfectly. From there I added a pancake too. This is a free plugin just to pan the vocal from left to right. And then lastly we just have a EQ cutting out the high frequencies. Since we obviously pitched the vocal up a lot, it's gonna be a little bit harsh up here in the higher frequencies, so you kind of just want to tuck those a little bit away. And then we have the vocal sounding amazing. Last thing I did to the melody was that I just opened up Arcade and I found this little flute phrase right here in the Second Moon preset bank. And for that I kind of kept the effects pretty similar to what we did with the vocals, just to kind of add that little bit of atmosphere. I don't really have them playing together at all, so it's kind of just for the second part of the verse right there. Alright, so that's pretty much it for the melody. Now for the drums. If you guys like any of the drum sounds you hear in this video, they are obviously all coming from both the Motion Bundle kit and the Mirage Multi kit. So if you want to check out the kit, I will link them both down below. And like I said, they are both a bundle and a multi kit, so you actually get way more than just a drum kit. So if you guys check out right here to the side, I have the Mirage Multi kit opened up. So with the drum kit you actually also get a melody MIDI kit, a phrases kit, a portal bank, sample pack, and also a texture kit. So there's a lot more included than just the drum kit. And with the Motion Bundle kit as well, you actually get a MIDI kit with 100 different hi-hat MIDIs right here, a one-shot kit, and a completely different sample pack. So if you want any of this, you get a lot of your money's worth. So like I said, I will just leave them linked down below, or you can check out BBMarko.com. It is pretty much all the sounds that I use on a regular basis. So for the drums, I started off with this Align open hat right here. A super cool sounding open hat because you have a pretty smooth hit on the start, and then it actually has this reverse section that comes in a little bit later. Then I just have a standard clap pattern as well as a hi-hat pattern right here. This hi-hat pattern is actually the number 37 from the MIDI kit right here that I have in the Motion Bundle kit. So literally all I did was I just dragged in number 37 right there, and I pitched up, or not pitched up, but I boosted up the velocity a little bit. It's a super cool sound because it has these few rolls and just adds a little bit of more movement to the whole thing. From here we just added a few standard rim patterns right there. From here I just kind of added a little bit of a rim pattern, adjusting the velocity on some of the hits just to give it a better groove and some more bounce. I really did go a little bit wild with the snares and rims. As you guys can see, we're just kind of adding some snares so the bounce is a bit cooler. And towards the end I have a different snare right here that kind of just adds that cool little transition type of bounce towards the end of the whole bar. So you can hear the bounce with those rims, but the sauce is really with the 808 and the kick. So for the 808 and kick, I actually have two different patterns hitting, one for the first section and one for the second section. Since we don't have the vocals or any counter type of melody on the first bar, I kind of make the drums a little bit busier because it's a bit more dry and has a lot more space. So if you check out the 808 right here, as you guys can see, it kind of looks a little bit crazy, but it's actually pretty cool. Just take a listen. But we kind of have to look at both the kick and the 808 at the same time because it might look a little bit crazy right now, but it's not really that crazy. So I'll just zoom in a little bit on the first section right here, just so you guys can see the kick and the 808 playing at the same time. So as you guys can see, some of the kick hits actually hit before the 808, and right here we also have a kick where the 808 wouldn't hit at all, and this is kind of just to create that cool little bounce. Although right here we actually have a little bit of a fading 808, so I just made sure to cut the 808 notes right a little bit shorter, and then I'm just holding my right mouse button and fading them down like this in the velocity. This kind of just gives you a cool little sound. Really drops everything off, makes it a little bit more busy on the first section, like I said. And on the second section we kind of just have a more of a standard pattern because we have the counter melody going on. But on this section I also have some of the kick hits and 808 hits where kicks don't hit, like right here. What I did right here was, as you guys can see, the 808 would hit right here, so I just made sure to put a kick a little bit beforehand so it kind of emphasizes that bounce we're going for. Then I just have some simple automation right here. It's pretty much just a kickstart on the melody, just kind of fading it in and out throughout the hook, and a little bit on the verse as well. That's pretty much it for the beat. Now let's take a final listen. So here we have the intro.
Shut up, Marko.
So it's kinda got everything except for the counter. Then we have it right here without the vocals. A little bit of a slower start, as you guys can hear. Then it drops in. Now the second part is crazy. Goes into the verse. We have that second 808 pattern. Then the flute come in. Those bouncy drums are definitely it right there. The flute gives you that wavy type of vibe. A little bit of a bridge right here. Then it just fades back into the hook.